Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. I hope everybody's doing well out there today. This is going to be Vinyl Tag 2025. Edwin from the Pretty Green Vinyl Guy put this together. Usually it comes in closer to New Year's, but so what? He put out 20 great questions, and I thought I'd jump right on it. If you have been watching videos for a while and have never made a video, this is a great way to get into the VC. You don't have to think about what I want to show. It gives you 20 questions. You get to show your record collection, and people get to know what you like and what you do. So I definitely urge you, if you've never made a video, to go ahead and jump on and do your Vinyl Tag 2025. There's become a proliferation of vinyl tags in the past couple of years. I know this year there's already an Americana vinyl tag. Last year I remember there was a blues vinyl tag, a jazz, punk rock. There are a lot of ways you can go. I'm sticking with the regular, original Vinyl Tag 2025. There are 20 questions, so let's get on it. The first question is the best record you bought last year, or this year, 2025, for. I'm showing two records because I got them both together at the same day at Goodwill. The first one is called New Orleans Washboard Blues, late 1950s. Featuring Blind Snooks Eaglin, Percy Randolph, and Lucius Bridges. Really great country blues with washboard, guitar, and harmonica. Just great. Possum Up a Tree, That's All Right Mama, Veal Chop and Pork Chop, This Train, Mardi Gras Mambo, Rock Me Mama, John Henry, Don't Leave Me Mama. Fantastic stuff. And the other one I got was same day at Goodwill. I'm going through the stack, and this happened to be there. And it's called Angola Prison Spirituals, recorded in 1959 at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola, which is right outside New Orleans. Amazing record. Spirituals and blues songs sung by prisoners, not people coming in and singing for the prisoners. These are the prisoners themselves singing these songs. Vocals are fantastic. It's just great stuff. Only person I ever heard of on this record is Robert Pete Williams, who I guess when he got out of prison after this had a real career. But a lot of people I never heard of. Andy Mosley, Willie Raffus, Tom Dutson, Roosevelt Charles. But some of the songs, at least I know some of the songs. Let My People Go, Dig My Grave with a Silver Spade. But some great stuff. Spirituals and Blues, Angola Prison Spirituals. Fantastic album. Next one, 50 years later, 1974. A lot of you were too young. 1974, 50 years ago, I was 25 years old. Living in New York City, this record came out, and I spun it all the time. Randy Newman, Good Old Boys. Fantastic record. I think his best album for sure. Rednecks, Guilty, which Bonnie Raitt also recovered. Louisiana 1927, Kingfish, Back on My Feet Again. Just amazing record. Great stuff. Randy Newman, Good Old Boys, 1974, 50 years ago. An album that defines a genre. I don't know if it actually defines a genre, but it's certainly one of the first to break out. And this was a soundtrack to The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff. This first came out. It just took the world by storm. I remember seeing this in New York City when it first came out, and just blew me away. It really got me started loving reggae. I'm sure there were many reggae albums before this one, but this was one of the first ones to really blow up in the United States. Fantastic record. Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff, obviously. The Melodians, the Mytals, the Slickers, Desmond Decker. Fantastic record. Next one. A band from your home country. I'm doing a hometown band, and this is a band that I grew up right outside New York City, and we used to go down to the city all the time and go to the Cafe Go-Go and see this band, and that is the Blues Project. Saw them numerous times down there, and even in the spring of '67, they came up and played my high school, so that was sort of cool. Al Cooper, left the Blues Project, started Blood, Sweat, and Tears. He's on their first album. And then by the second album, they kicked him off. And he went on to do other things, but also with Danny Kalb and Steve Katz. Fantastic. The Blues Project. Next one. An artist you miss. So I'm doing the same one that a lot of people are doing because to me it really hit home. And that, of course, is John Lennon. I remember the day he was murdered. I was living in Brooklyn with my ex-wife. She was pregnant at the time. I remember we were in bed listening to WNEW FM radio, and they came on and announced that he'd been murdered. And I was devastated. It's just devastating. I mean, when Jimmy died and Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, they were living lifestyles that, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. So it wasn't that much of a surprise. But John, who was living his best life at the time, really had come into his own as a person. And to be murdered like that was just devastating. So I really miss him more than any of the others. I just can't imagine what he would have done if he had lived. Next one, live album. A lot of live albums in my collection that I love. But I decided to go with one that I don't think a lot of people know. And it's Grant Green and his album Slick, recorded live at Oil Can Harry's. I was trying to get a date on when it was recorded, and it doesn't say on the cover. Here's Grant Green. This album, it's 2-record set, a Record Store Day issue. The first record is pretty standard Grant Green jazz. The second album is the funkiest thing I've ever heard. Just fantastic. I would urge you to find this record and check it out. Grant Green, Slick. Recorded live at Oil Can Harry's. Fantastic record. Next one. Your girlfriend dumps you. Your boyfriend dumps you. You go home. What are you going to listen to? For me, the only one thing to listen to, and that's the blues. And if I'm listening to the blues, I'm listening to Howlin' Wolf. A lot of these guys, they never recorded albums. They recorded back in the day, they were all singles. So these are all compilations of singles they put out. So on here you have Shake For Me, The Red Rooster, Who's Been Talking, Wang Dang Doodle, Spoonful, Going Down Slow, Down in the Bottom, Howlin' For My Baby. When you're down and out, the blues will bring you up. The best. There's the Wolf. Howlin' Wolf. Drums. Best drums recorded. I went through 4 or 5 different choices before I settled on this one. I decided if you're talking about drums, you got to go with the master, and you go with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. This is his album, The Freedom Rider. The song, The Freedom Rider, on the first side is basically a masterclass in jazz drumming. It's fantastic. The whole album is great because it has Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, Bobby Timmons, Jamie Merritt, and of course, Art Blakey on drums. But yeah, definitely a masterclass in drumming. Next one, an artist that has been in more than one band. Again, there were a lot of choices I could have done. A lot of people I could have picked. But I decided after back and forth, finally settled on Jeff Beck from the Yardbirds. Jeff Beck from the Jeff Beck Group. And just Jeff Beck performing by himself or solo. This is his album, great album, live at Ronnie Scott's. 2-record set. Fantastic. Jeff Beck. I don't have to go into it. Everybody knows Jeff Beck. The Beatles or the Stones? The lifelong question. So I decided I would say, for a studio band, it has to be the Beatles. And for a live band, it has to be the Rolling Stones. So there you go. I covered both bases. Next one. You find a bag of weed. Of course, today you don't have to find a bag of weed. You just drive down to the corner and go to the store, marijuana store, and buy what you want. But you get home, you smoke up, or you take the gummy, you're feeling sort of buzzy. What are you going to play? I'm playing Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. probably the most perfect album ever recorded. Just amazing record with, of course, Miles Davis, Cannibal Adderley, Paul Chambers, James Cobb, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, Wynton Kelly. Nothing's better. You got a buzz on. This really just takes you away. Fantastic album. Next one. 1980s album. A lot of albums 1980s I still listen to. But I had to go with Paul Simon, Graceland. Everybody knows the record. Don't want to talk about it. Fantastic stuff. An artist that has a political stance has sort of soured you. All right, a lot of people are picking Ted Nugent, which of course I agree with, but I don't really listen to Ted Nugent. So this is more of an artist who I really respected his music and enjoyed, even though I knew he was an asshole from the beginning. His stance during the pandemic sort of really turned me off. And that, of course, is Van the Man. I don't have to say anything more about it. As the famous saying goes, there are two kinds of people when it comes to Van Morrison. Those who like him and those who've met him. All right. A label that you enjoy. There's a guitar player. His name is Stephen Grossman. I have a number of his albums. This is his album with John Renbourn. He originally started out on Tacoma Records with John Fahey, but then started his own label. And whenever I see anything on this label, I grab it. And it's Kicking Mule Records. Whenever you see anything on Kicking Mule, you know it's going to be a guitar virtuoso performance. And yeah, Kicking Mule Records. Always, I could have done Blue Note, but I decided Kicking Mule Records, something people don't know that much about. Stephen Grossman started that label. He's a great guitar player. So look for that one. A Record Store Day release. No, gotta switch back. I missed one. Number 15. 3 singles by a band. I don't collect singles. I don't collect 45s. It's a whole nother rabbit hole. I just don't want to go down. But if I had to pick, I would pick Creedence Clearwater Revival. In 1969, they released Proud Mary, Fortunate Son, and Lodi. I mean, 3 fantastic songs. One of my favorite bands of all time. Saw John Fogerty about 5 or 6 years ago. What a great show he put on. Interesting fact, Creedence Clearwater Revival, with all these great songs they put out, never had a #1 hit in the United States. Unbelievable. Never a #1 hit. Just crazy. Record Store Day release you still listen to. All right, I'm going with the great Tom Waits and his album Brawlers. There was 3 records put out, Brawlers, Bastards, and Orphans. I chose the Brawlers. 2 record set. Most of the stuff was stuff he left off other albums. There's a collection of records or songs that he left off of other albums, but it's fantastic, and a big fan of Tom Waits. So this still gets played often by me. If you're reincarnated as an artist, a musician, who would you come back as? Thought about it a lot, but the guy I picked was the great Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger hoboed around with Woody Guthrie. He then formed the band, the Almanac Singers, and then formed the Weavers. He then did solo for many years. He spent a long time with the Clearwater Sloop, which he started to clean up the Hudson River, which was a complete mess, cesspool, until he really got involved in trying to clean it up and did a great job. And that's his real legacy, is cleaning up the Hudson River in New York. Pete was a great artist, great performer, and a wonderful guy. I met him a number of times. Actually, my first concert ever was my parents took me to see the Weavers at Carnegie Hall in 1962. And even before that, when I was in summer camp, Pete came to our camp and sang for the kids at the camp. So that's the kind of thing he did. Traveled around the world, met so many people, and was just a great person. So yeah, and he lived a nice long life, lived into his 90s. So I'll go with Pete Seeger. Lyrics from a song, They say 3 lines, but I did a little longer. My favorite song by one of my favorite artists, and that's Bob Dylan, and the song is Visions of Johanna. And it starts, ain't it just like the night to play tricks when you're trying to be so quiet? We sit here stranded, though we're all doing our best to deny it. And Louise holds a handful of rain, tempting you to defy it. Lights flicker from the opposite loft. In this room, the heat pipes just cough. The country music station plays soft, but there's nothing really, nothing to turn off. Just Louise and her lover so entwined, and these visions of Johanna that conquer my mind. Doesn't get much better than that. And last but not least, an album you're not tired of listening to. It's an older album that you listen to and you just don't, you can listen to it anytime. And for me, that has to be The Band, their second album, self-titled album, The Band. I'm sure everybody knows this record. As some people say, this could be a greatest hits album because it has Across the Great Divide, Rag Mama Rag, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, Up on Cripple Creek, Whispering Pines, Lookout Cleveland, Jawbone, King Harvest. I mean, amazing, amazing record. So yeah, that's my final tag. Oh, the last question is shout out to a channel. I feel if I give a shout out to a channel, I'll be leaving somebody out. So instead of doing that, I think I'm just going to say that Edwin at Pretty Green Vinyl Guy did a great job. Really enjoyed the questions. And if you don't know Edwin, check out his channel. And I really appreciate all the new subscribers I've gotten. For some reason, I did a video about a couple of weeks ago, and it just blew up. Usually my videos get 300-400 views. Excuse me. This last video I did has like 4,000 views. I don't know why it blew up like it did, but I'm happy it did. I've gotten over 100 new subscribers. So I want to thank everybody who is a new subscriber as well as my old subscribers. I want to thank everybody who takes the time out of their day to watch my little videos. And if you like what you saw, give me that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.